Hey everybody, how's it going today? Jim Prusak, physical therapist and owner of the Pain PT, and I want to share with you today the four-step process I use to help people heal with the brain and nervous system. And I call this stepping or taking a step out of the chronic symptom cycle. And I'm going to share with you today that these four steps, and if they can help you out on your journey for healing, I'm really happy to give you this information. This is what I use with the clients I work with. So let's get to it. So really what we're talking about is this chronic symptom cycle. And you can see it here on the page. And this symptom cycle doesn't just go in one direction. It actually moves in multiple directions. And these four pieces here are intertwined, meaning they play off each other. So if you take and look at the top of the cycle here, we've got chronic symptoms. This is what you're experiencing or have been experiencing for a period of time now. And what happens with chronic symptoms, either on the front end to create these symptoms or in the aftermath as a result of these symptoms, you get these other three components. You get negative thinking, you get unfelt emotions, which some people call negative emotions, but I don't use that word because all emotions are valid and okay. There's no such thing as a negative emotion. So you get unfelt emotions, which leads to physical inactivity, which can lead to more symptoms. Now, any of these can create more symptoms. Negative thinking by itself can create more symptoms in your body. Unfelt emotions, as we know from Dr. Sarno's work, certainly can create symptoms in a physical nature in the body. And physical inactivity also can create more symptoms, setting up that fear avoidance cycle where we tend to avoid certain physical activities because we're afraid, or they actually produce symptoms in us and we're scared that it's doing damage or it's hurting us. So this is one big ball of wax, so to speak. It's a big hot mess, really, and we need to find a way to break out of the cycle. So this is where the four-step process comes into play. So the four-step process, and the word step stands for sensations, thoughts, emotions, and physical activity. Okay, so the S part of the step is the sensations, and I call this process sensory reprocessing. It's actually learning to interpret what we call symptoms as neutral sensations, because with chronic health symptoms, what we feel is not dangerous. It's not pathological. It's not actually threatening to our bodies. Even though it might feel that way, these are not acute symptoms like we see with a broken leg or ankle sprain or a torn rotator cuff muscle from an acute injury. It's not the same thing. So this first step is learning to reprocess your symptoms as neutral sensations. And we do this through a process of a combination of what I call physical relaxation of the body, learning to soften your body, and to learn to be open to feeling what's happening in your body, what's happening as physical sensations in your body, and learning to accept and allow these sensations to just take place because they're neutral. They're not something we need to do anything about. So that's the first step. The second step in the four-step process is our thoughts. And I call this thought restructuring. Okay, it's learning to catch these negative, self-sabotaging, catastrophizing, worried thoughts and let these thoughts go. Because if we play into these thoughts, if we energize them or we jump on this negative thought train, we're actually hurting ourselves. We're actually making the symptoms worse. We're increasing these emotions in our body that we don't want to feel, and it leads to more physical inactivity. So we need to get a handle on our thought processes. Okay, the third step in the four-step process is dealing with our emotions. Now, this is a big piece that a lot of people tend to bypass or they tend to ignore. And we call this work emotional awareness and expression work. And this has come out of Dr. Schubiner's studies with fibromyalgia and some other studies showing that this can be an effective way to reduce chronic health symptoms. So essentially, what is this? This is feeling the feelings, the emotional feelings. I call it feel it to heal it. This can not only be around the pain you have now or your symptoms now, how it makes you feel, but going back in time and looking at events in your life, when your symptoms started, what were the emotions there? Going back to childhood, if you had some traumatic experiences or difficulties or abuse, it's going back and unlocking these emotions that may be stored in the body that's creating and sustaining this vicious circle of chronic symptoms. So the last step, we move past emotions, and the four-step process is physical activity. And this is taking action to prove that we're okay, to show ourselves that we're okay. We need to return to all the activities that we've avoided or stopped. And we know with chronic symptoms that there isn't a structural issue in the body, so you can return to these activities. And if you use the first three steps here, interpreting your symptoms as sensations, working with your negative worried thoughts, dealing with the emotions of fear and other emotions, frustration and anger that arise while you work through this activity, as you go back to gradually returning to all the things you stopped, this is how you get back to good health. So if we want to summarize this, stepping out of the chronic symptom cycle, it looks like this. Okay, we're going to treat your symptoms as neutral sensations because they're not dangerous, they're not threatening. We know that. They don't signify a true danger, a true threat, even though the nervous system and brain erroneously thinks otherwise. Okay, we're going to shift from negative thoughts. We're going to let those negative thoughts go. We're going to put some positive thoughts or neutral thoughts in that we're okay, we're all right, we can handle this. Our body's fine. It's just our brain and nervous system. We can heal, we can do this. Okay, we want to feel our emotions. This is a massive piece of the work. We want to learn to feel our emotions. How do we feel emotionally? A lot of people block, repress, suppress their emotions, and that leads to symptoms, as we know. So getting in touch with our emotions, very important piece that we work on here. And then that last piece, physical activity, get moving again, moving in the right direction towards the things you want to do, the things that you want to accomplish physically. And you have to do this. You cannot wait. My experience is you cannot wait till the symptoms go away completely to start returning the activity. There's no reason to, because you can't hurt yourself. You can't hurt yourself with this. So there's no reason you need to wait before you return to physical activity. All right, everybody. Hope that was helpful for you. This is, again, the process I use with the people I work with. I'm going to be expanding this process, hopefully in the near future, having a program out there that people can follow along on a daily basis for a month or 2 months to help them work their way out of whatever they're dealing with. So if you have questions or you have any interest in that, just reach out to me. You can find me at my website, www.thepainpt.com, or you can send me an email at jim@thepainpt.com. Thanks, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll talk to you soon.